The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Georgian Prime Minister Garibashvili on Monday addressed the World Government Summit in Dubai. The Prime Minister focused on his country's economic growth amid grave political situation and challenges in the region and declining global economic prospects. Garibashvili added Georgia aims to develop the country into a true multi-dimensional regional hub, offering international stakeholders a competitive environment for expanding their business in the larger region. A significant increase in foreign direct investments was observed in 2022, the volume of which was doubled compared to the previous year by more than 100%. Our decisive actions helped to create more than 200,000 jobs over the past 2 years in Georgia. We have also succeeded in terms of stabilizing inflation at 9.4% last year, with the target of 5% for 2023. Many large-scale energy, infrastructure and logistic projects are underway or planned to further stimulate our economy and bring greater prosperity to our people, Prime Minister Garibashvili said. External merchandise trade of Georgia amounted to $1.4 million in 2023. 29.1% higher year-over-year, the National Statistics Office of Georgia reported. The value of export increased by 38.5%, reaching $459 million, while the impact increased by 25.2% and amounted to over $1 million. The trade deficit equaled $543 million and its share in trade turnover constituted 37.2%. U.S. President Joe Biden nominated Robin Dunnigan for the post of a new U.S. ambassador to Georgia. Robin Dunnigan, a career member of senior foreign service with the rank of Minister Consular, currently serves as Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Central and Eastern Europe in the Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs. In Georgia, Robin Dunnigan will replace Kelly Degnan, who has been serving as the U.S. Ambassador to Georgia since 2020. Georgian Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Economy and Sustainable Development Levan Davitashvili met with the representatives of the International Monetary Fund, the mission head James John, and members of the delegation. Georgia IMF cooperation, economic trends, two-digit economic growth, ongoing reforms and the situation in the region were the main topics at the meeting. The discussion also focused on renewable energy use, energy security and facing challenges. Georgia's economic outlook, which has been stable for the past 2 years, was also highlighted. In 2022, the number of arrivals of international non-resident travelers on the territory of Georgia equaled 5.4 million, which is 2.9 times higher compared to year-over-year, the Georgian National Statistics Service reported. The number of international visitors equaled 3.9 million, which was 2.8 times higher compared to the data from the previous year. In the reporting period, international visitors made 3.7 million tourist-type visits, which made 2.3 times up year-over-year. In 2022, the largest number of visits was from the Russian Federation, which amounted to 23.3% of the total number of visits. Turkey and Armenia come to the second and third places accordingly. In 2022, the purpose of most visits was holidays, leisure and recreation. Tbilisi and Ajara were visited the most. The expanding during the visit made in 2022 amounted to 10.8 billion lari, which the average spending per visiting totaling to 2,000 lari. Tbilisi Mayor Kakakaladze recommended that A-category taxi drivers obtain license before March 20, otherwise they will be unable to obtain permanent permits to continue operations from April 1 and will be fined. Tbilisi Mayor also spoke about ongoing initiatives at the city government meeting on Wednesday. Tbilisi Hall will start rebuilding and redesigning 12 troublesome connections in Tbilisi, beginning with Beliashvili and Balanchini streets, Kakakaladze has said. Tbilisi mayor also nominated David Makatsaria for the position of Chugureti district governor. Over 800 drugs from chronic and oncology disease will be 40% cheaper starting from February 15, Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili announced on social media. The first stage of the reference pricing scheme, which went into effect on February 15, including drugs for chronic and oncology disorders, with the list of prescriptions steadily increasing. Importers, wholesalers and retailers must agree on a maximum price limit for medicines. According to the government, the move is designed to improve accessibility to medications. Furthermore, the Turkish pharmaceutical market's opening in March 2022 reduced medicine prices in Georgia by 60–80%.
The Asian Development Bank ADB has invested up to 19 million lari, approximately $7 million USD, in a 2-year local currency gender bond issuance by joint stock company microfinance organization Crystal, the largest microfinance institution in Georgia. It is the first certified gender bond issuance in the South Caucasus and in the Georgian Stock Exchange. The proceeds will finance women-owned micro, small and medium-sized enterprises. The total bond issuance amounts to 25 million lari, with ADB as the anchor investor and the Bank of Georgia as co-investor, with a subscription of about 6 million lari. Gender bonds are social bonds issued to enhance gender equality and women's empowerment. Crystal's gender bond framework received a second-party opinion to certify its compliance with the social bond principles of the International Capital Market Association. Micro, small and medium-sized enterprises play a critical role in Georgia's economy, accounting for most private firms and providing more than half of all jobs, but their growth is constrained by a lack of access to finance. Women in particular are disproportionately affected due to high collateral requirements and other cultural biases that hamper asset ownership. MFIs play an important role in providing access to finance to low-income borrowers, particularly in remote rural areas, which traditional commercial banks are generally reluctant to serve. Crystal is the leading financial inclusion organization and the largest non-banking financial institution in Georgia. It manages a loan portfolio of 400 million lari, employing more than 1,000 staff and operating through 50 branches, serving more than 130,000 customers across Georgia. The International Chamber of Commerce, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and the National Bank of Georgia hosted a conference in Tbilisi on Thursday to promote trade of climate-friendly technology. High-profile speakers, representatives from local small and medium-sized enterprises, commercial banks, and business associations joined the conference, which has been entitled Green Finance for Sustainable Economy, to discuss current trends in trade finance and development needs to mitigate climate change.
Green finance is very important because it allows companies, and mainly smaller companies, that are involved in environmental investments and activities to be on the priority list for financing by the private sector, by the banks, or by the international financial institutions. In a world where global warming is the #1 priority globally, it is important to come with the tools to allow the private sector to develop technologies and products that are planet-friendly. And for the International Chamber of Commerce, it is a #1 priority. And in many countries of the world, we do put a lot of resources on developing green finance and securing green finance for entrepreneurs.
Green finance is very important for all of us. Greening the economy is a survival path that we all need to take. So we work very much on helping companies to green their production, their operations, and thereby we need green finance. So it's for all of us, and we need to do it now.
According to Katarina Hansen, the conference aims to discuss how commercial banks can green the economy through provision of finance.
The banks here play a spearheading role because they need to understand how to promote green investments into the economy. So all of us, households, companies and the entire economy need to focus on this to make sure that we operate in a sustainable manner. We in EBRD are very keen to support greening of the economy. So last year, 61% of our operation was towards green projects, and we're very proud of these achievements. In Georgia, we're very proud to work together with the National Bank, which is also spearheading the regulations for the commercial banks to green the economy.
According to Fadi Asli, Georgia's economy is taking the same trend in 2023 as in 2022, and it is mainly still dependent on Russian inflows, both money and migrants.
We see a lot of Russian money coming to Georgia, many Russian businesses doing business here, much less investors from other places. We don't have visibility what will happen. There is political instability both inside and out of the country. So if things continue the way they are without major changes, we foresee an economic growth of 7 to 8%. However, if there are regional changes or internal changes, then this could affect economic growth to a great extent. So we still, live by the day without being able to make much forecast. Last year in 2022, in January and early February, no one expected that Georgia would have 10% growth. We were thinking about 3 to 4%. And then the war was a boom for Georgia. It benefited a lot economically from the war, and that's why we reached 10%.